Hey guys, welcome to the start of a new adventure. Yes, color roundie TV. I got two of them recently, a General Electric and an RCA. We're going to start with our focus on the General Electric. So I got these sets from someone's estate in New York. They had to clear out the house, and well, I ended up with them. A friend was able to pick them up for me, hold them, and then deliver them. According to the son of the previous owner, they bought these sets, had them delivered to the house. They sat in their respective spaces and they used them until they stopped working, and they remained there for decades. So that's all we know. Actually, I know a little bit more than that because I looked up the model numbers and I consulted with Shango, and they both, I believe, are CTC 15s. General Electric being a clone of the RCA design. Cabinets are in pretty good shape. There's a few dings here and there. A little chip on the top. I like the top on this one particularly because it's actually got some interest going on. Sets from this era tend to be a little on the boring side, I think. See, there's also a whack there. Oh well. And it does appear to be real wood. I don't know what kind of wood. Walnuts, maybe? Kind of bleached. Well, it's funny, I hadn't noticed this before. There's a... You can sort of see some outlines on here. That's probably where they had something up top there. I recall from the photos I saw that they had, you know, knickknacks, antenna, little TV lamp, something like that. They were probably up there for decades. So there's a little bit of a shadow left. All right, let's get to the interesting stuff. Well, I'll take a look at the front for a bit. So this, I imagine, lights up. Of course, this is way before we have LEDs or anything like that, but maybe some type of illuminated backlit channel number. It says tuning. There'll be a channel clunker. Pull on volume. This is probably fine tuning, and this will be channel, color bright, tint, and flip down for horizontal, vertical, hold, contrast, and tone. Very similar to the controls on the RCA behind it. Oh yeah, so this thing on the front, that does not mean the picture tube is bad. It's what they call cataract. The safety glass on CRTs from this era was like glued, bonded to the picture tube. Whereas the sets you usually see me work on, the safety glass just sits, and there's a physical separation between the two. At this point in time, they glued them together. So, and what happens is over time that glue starts to fail, gets cloudy, they start to separate. We can deal with that. It can be made to look much better. So. All is not lost. Alright, so let's get this info on the back. So, top of the cabinet, M935, and it's also stamped here model M935, AWL-9-12-FC, FO, something like that. Got our power cord. This has UHF inputs, so this set may have a UHF tuning option. Looks like there's stuff the power cord inside here. So yeah, these CRTs, they're long, they're deep. So the necks stick way out. Both of them have these plastic covers on. As you might imagine, yes, these sets tended to get necked when they would get moved around. Well, that's probably one reason they're somewhat scarce. Interesting back, it's metal and then perforated masonite. And also common for sets of this era, they have a circuit breaker. And we had AGC, color killer, which I believe disables color, I think. And there's also very common to have a service mode and normal mode. We have green drive, blue drive, vertical linearity, vertical height, vertical centering, focus, red, green, and blue screen controls across the back. Now, I am by no means an expert on restoring color TVs. In fact, I really never restored color TV. I did a little bit of a recap on a GE Portacolor. It's a somewhat later, small portable color TV. And I've had a color roundie, I sold it, that needed a little bit of TLC, but I didn't have to pull the chassis and do any major overhauling on it. Now, I understand the theory, and I've watched plenty of other people work on them, and I somewhat know my way around them, but I've never gone through and done a convergence or any of that. Maybe we won't need to. Anyways, what we're going to do right now is get this back off and test the CRT. I believe both these sets use the same. I think it's a 21 FJP22, something like that. Let's see, so we got the usual 1/4 inch nuts holding the back off. So let me grab a tool. I got my CR70. Let's see if we can test the CRT. So I can also tell you this. It's going to be a little bit different than what you usually see me do. Because this is much newer. I'm usually working on sets from the 40s, early 50s. This is mid-60s. We're talking like 63, 64-ish, 62 maybe. Meaning it's not going to be loaded with leaky paper caps. This likely has some plastic film caps. And the electrolytic caps have a much better chance of still having some life left. I got to take the ones across the top out too. So, I mean, there is a chance if I powered this up, we could get something on the screen. I think what's more likely, because I know the set said dormant for a very, very long time, they said if I just went full power, it's just going to pop the circuit breaker. I've taken a peek at the schematic for both of these. Solid state rectifiers and then a voltage doubler on the transformer. So we're not going to have like tubes that take a while to warm up and all that. It's just going to be instant on. And those caps are probably going to be very leaky. It's going to draw excessive current and pop the circuit breaker. That's what I suspect would happen. So we for sure want to do a slow power up. Alrighty. Nice. Nice. It looks super clean inside. Super jupes. Always got to be in the frame. Okay. So, something else. Clearly see these chassis rather than be cadmium plated, these are zinc plated. You get that galvanized, crystalline zinc look about them. And yeah, so these caps, so the ones I can see so far are those maroon type early Mylar, sorry, plastic film caps. And we have at least one Compactron. This will be loaded with some GH8s, I imagine. So yeah, picture tube 21 FJP22. That is GIS guy. So this is the early color CRTs. We've got the Delta guns. We got 3 electron guns, red, green, and blue, in a triangle pattern. And for this to work right, they have to converge perfectly together around the entire front of the pictures tube. And that is one of the reasons why they use round color CRTs for so long, because if you think about the geometry, if everything is circular and symmetrical, focusing those 3 beams, it's consistent around the entire picture. You get into rectangular, you get pin cushion and keystoning and all kinds of craziness. That board up there, that is the magic board where you adjust all the convergence. It's a standard thing where you got 9 pots you adjust to make that happen. There's all kinds of horrific stuff to deal with up here, where these are magnets and you have purity magnets and linear, yeah, I forget all the terms for them, blue lateral magnet and stuff like that. If you don't have to, don't even think about messing with any of that stuff. You see this thing with a spring around it, you think, oh, it's an ion trap. No, these are pretty sure they're aluminized, or they don't use an ion trap like you're used to thinking of. Oh man, this picture was so crazy. And why do we have this huge piece of metal here? I don't know. Oh, that's probably a degaussing coil or something. Because there is an electromagnet at the top and at the bottom, and then we got a big piece of metal. So, degaussing, you may have, well, you know, I'll ramble while I get this up and ready for testing. So, if you ever worked or powered up an old color set, you may have heard a crazy spring when you turn it around. It goes like, that is a degaussing coil. There's an electromagnet around the perimeter of the CRT. Why is that there? Because these are very sensitive to magnetic fields, and that will throw off their convergence. And if the really early sets, it would be so bad that if you had it in one corner of the room and rotated around and moved to another part of the room, you might have to redo the convergence because the Earth's magnetic field would affect things a little bit. But also, like we've got speakers here, or if somebody has something magnetic that comes near it, if anything gets magnetized, and there's a steel mesh inside the picture tube that can get magnetized. I mean, I'm sure as kids we all took a magnet and put them in front of a colored picture tube and made all kinds of crazy designs. You take the magnet away and you're horrified because it looks like you destroyed the TV until you turn it off and back on again, and the degaussing coil demagnetizes it and everything looks good again. So that's what that's all about. Chassis, power transformer electrolytics. We got some little, like, I think these modules might actually pull out. Otherwise, it's just an early type of construction, like with circuit boards and sort of, kind of point-to-point wiring, kind of not. Like they might have, I think, little, at least that's how Zenith did it, like little buckets or whatever you could stick a few wires into and then fill it up with solder, like solder cups. And then this is your high voltage thing. So the big things that would kill this project are a bad picture tube and a bad flyback, yoke, that kind of thing. So horizontal output tube. Not sure what's up with this. There's a locking washer on there. Just show you. Okay, it'll swing open. I don't know what that is. Oh, I see. It's a plastic tube that interlocks with something down there. So yeah, there's our flyback. So these also run on, so how's it different? These run on like 27,000 volts, 29,000 volts, something like that. About 3 times higher than what I usually work with. So the flybacks are more robust. They have more robust, oh boy, yeah, see that flyback, it's been leaking a bit. More powerful high voltage rectifiers. They have a shunt regulator, I believe that's the tube up there. It's a triode that can handle 30,000 volts, and so these actually have regulation on the high voltage. Because if you don't, it sags when the picture gets bright, which will do horrible things to your convergence and your color and whatnot. Here, so try to zoom in on that flyback for you. So yeah, it's melted a bit because of there's more power, there's more voltage, these tend to run hotter, it's in this metal box that's going to retain some heat, so not surprising that they melt a bit. But it doesn't look like it's scorched or burned or anything, that's what your real concern is. So, I mean, that can be cleaned up, we can put Corona dope on it, or Corona or high voltage putty if we need to. But boy, everything looks super, super, super clean. Closer look at the chassis. I mean, aside from some dust, this is friggin' like factory fresh. Got that sparkling zinc plating on everything. And of course there's a tuner. And yeah, that little guy down below, this does have a UHF. Not that it really matters these days. Looks like we just got one little dinky speaker. So for some big expensive color set, speaker's no more impressive than a black and white set of 15 years earlier. All right, let's get out the tester. Let's see what we got. Now I don't have one of those fancy testers that can do all 3 guns at once, but at least I do have the proper adapter for it, and it's in my setup list. We just have to do the red, green, and blue guns independently. Okay. And our filament on 6.3. It's got to be working because it's really dragging down my meter, so yeah. Because all 3 guns are being lit up, so it's drawing a lot more current than this thing usually does. So yeah, all three filaments are lit up on the CRT. Okay. what about emissions and cutoff and all that good stuff. All right, so shorts, G1 short, good, cutoff. We got no cutoff action. I dropped the bias down a little. No cutoff action. That's not good. We do have some emissions, and it does respond to cutoff, or it did. It just nosedived for some reason. So that's super weak. But we've only had it on for a few seconds. Important thing is the needle going up? And yes, it is. So we're going to let this sit a while. Tell you what, while we're letting it sit, let's jump and test some of the other guns too. Fill sets. So that was red. It's green. Is 5.6. 5.67. Yeah. So 5. Wait, is that right? 4.23. 5.67. All right. No HK shorts, no G1 shorts. This we have cutoff action. And this we got emissions well into the green. Or we did. It dropped off a bit. From what I've heard, that's very typical of. I know the really early colors you do CRTs for sure is that the red goes first. So this doesn't really surprise me. And let's do the last one, which is blue. 13, 12, 11, or 13, 12, 11. HQ short, G1 short, cut off. It's not great, but yeah, we've got the needle moves and emissions well into the. So this is the best out of the three. So this will produce an image, and that's why they give you adjustments for red, green, blue on the back, is you can crank up the red level to get them all, you know, equal with respect to each other. But it's a good sign. Check the wave test. Not fantastic, but I mean, we have emissions on all three guns. The CRT is not dead. This will produce a picture. That's very good. Let's go back to green or red rather. 4, 2, 3. And now we've got cutoff action on the red gun at the proper bias level. So this is, and emissions are well into the green. Boy, this thing really woke up nicely. That's why you don't go running to push on that red rejuvenation button. You just let the thing sit for 5, 10, 15 minutes before you make any assessment on the condition. So this is looking fantastic. So we're supposed to put the cutoff in the black box. Can't quite get there. I'll do the bias down a little bit. I'm cheating a little, but means I'm running the grid a little bit hotter than it should be. But if I do emissions, I mean, we're way into the green. So So far, all systems go. I'll tell you, I am tempted, and we may very well do this. Not right now, not tonight. Ooh, I wonder what this is supposed to go to. Looks like that's the degausing thing. Of doing a controlled power up, but seeing disconnected things like this does give me some pause. It looks like these two wires were cut, and obviously it's not plugged into anything. This may be aftermarket. Shango was talking to me about needing to add a degaussing coil, possibly. So yeah, I need to know a little more. I have a copy of the SAM. Shango kindly provided them to me. I have not. I just barely glanced at the schematics, so I got to do a little bit of homework first. But I'm really, really, really liking what I'm seeing. But like I said, the owner told me they stopped using the sets because they stopped working. So I shouldn't expect it to work perfectly. But you know, who knows? Maybe he just needs a tube. Okay, now let's take a look at the other set, the RCA. Both should be similar chassis, is my understanding. Did take a brief look at the SAMs. So this is a CTC-15, what's in the GE. Apparently it's a CTC-15 clone, but they put their own spin on it, like they used a Compactron or 2, which was GE's invention. And I guess they used a different circuit for the focus voltage these need. Something like 5,000 or 6,000 volts for focus for the CRT. The GE uses a selenium high voltage rectifier diode, whereas this uses a 1V2 tube, I believe. But it should be the same CRT and same basic circuitry. Wow, there's one large back. The chassis is not going to be anywhere near that wide, so there must just be a lot of empty space on either side. Looks like most of the screws are gone from the back. There's a 3 at the top, and looks like there are some clips down here. Don't lose those. The Zenith roundie I had was all clips on the back, very easy to take on and off. Not surprising that half the screws are missing because he wants to deal with these. Alright, are you ready? Am I ready? Here we go. High voltage covers off, but at least it's here. Much bigger speaker. Oh, we got speaker. Oh, that's why it's okay. This is high fidelity, my friends. We've got a nice, looks like a 6x9 on either side. So there's one little dinky 4-inch speaker on one side. So if this used a 1V2 high voltage focus rectifier, I've seen them just sticking out of the side of this. Maybe it's coming out the back. If that's even accurate that it uses one. RCA CRT could be the original. Looks a little discolored on the grids or whatever in there. Similar construction, little modules, but it's a little different. A little different. Same type of convergence panel, of course. And it also has that metal ring around it. But this does not have a degaussing coil, unless it's up front. But no, I don't think this has a degaussing circuit. Ooh, we have this tag, service tag. It's a little hard to read. Simmons address Ponticello M. Model, serial number, technician, etc. Alright, so same deal, we'll test the CRT. Here's a closer look at the chassis. So very similar range of power transformer, rectifiers, and little boards with tubes on them. It'd be nice if these just pulled out and were in sockets, but I don't think they are. Because logistics, it's gonna be the next thing on these is how do I work on them? I am not bringing these sets into the basement. That is not happening. The chassis, yeah, but I don't have a color test jig, so I cannot try the chassis unless I keep bringing them back up and down, up and down, up and down to plug them into the CRT. When I do convergence and whatnot, I'll have to do it up here, and I'll have to bring test equipment up here as needed, but we'll figure it out one way or another. So the other set had UHF, but no, this does not. This definitely does not. Because you can see the dinky little VHF tuner there in that empty slot on the left. That's where the UHF tuner would go if it had it. So I'm going to say this set is slightly older than the other one. Than the GE. And here's a look in here. So this one, very similar looking flyback condition. Bit of drippy wax. Kind of a baked horizontal output tube. And just that lowly shunt regulator up above and a kind of baked looking high voltage rectifier in the middle. Now that cover may very well have been left off just for ventilation. Not unusual at all. Alright, using the Sencor as before. Here we go. It's good. I can tell it's pulling down the meter, which means it's drawing current. Yep, the flow notes are lighting up. So I think I left off at checking the blue gun, so we'll start there. Shorts, no shorts. Cut off. Nothing, but we saw it took a little while for the other one to warm up, so I'm making no assessments yet. We have no emissions. Just checking to make sure everything's plugged in securely. Filaments are still lit. Okay, that's obviously not a good sign. Nice to see something. Oh, there we go. Man, just like the other one. It just takes like a couple minutes and then it wakes up. Not so much for the emissions though, but at least the cutoff kicked in. I mean, there are some now, and they do respond to the cutoff. But not great by any means. But we wait. Actually, let's go ahead and check the other guns. Let this thing bake a bit. Alright, so that was B. Let's go back to R, so 423. Red, back on. No shorts, no shorts. Cut off. Drop a range. Barely any emissions, really no cutoff action. It's climbing a little bit. Now we got cut off, now it's starting to swing up. Emissions pretty lousy, so maybe they kind of drove this set into the ground and I switched to the G. Alright, it's been sitting actually about half an hour now, so let's see if things have improved any. Still checking the green gun. Cut off at 68. We got plenty of cutoff. And emissions are a lot better. And they do respond to cutoff. A little squirrely. No, not as good as the other set, but a heck of a lot better than when we started. Let's go back and do red. 2, 3. Red's looking really good. Oops, if I turn it off. So yeah, red is a lot better than green, so that's why you have those controls in the back for red, blue, green, because they need to be at equivalent brightness for this to work right, otherwise your tint is going to be off. Alright, which leaves what, blue? Blue, 13, 12, 11. So, at least as far as the picture tubes go, it looks like we're in good shape to restore both these sets. Flybacks, I've heard, can be an issue, and they tend to overheat. So that's why the cover's probably off. They tend to burn up. But they do look equally melty, so maybe that's okay. And blue well the green. Let's check green again. Because boy, red and blue sure look good. 5, 6, 7. In fact, they look about as good as the other CRT did. I really like how it jumps around. It is in the green though. Anyways, I mean, it'll work. It'll work. Alright, so green's in the green now too, so good. They're both well into the green. This one not quite as good as the GE, but I mean they're far from dead. So we're in very good shape there. So now back to me doing my homework. I want to post this video and wait for advice to come in on about how to proceed from here. I could just plug it in, throw it on a Variac, slowly increase it. These both have solid state rectifiers, meaning I can do low voltage and slowly increase it. I can pop out the high voltage output tube while I do that. Just, in other words, to try to reform the caps at least enough to do a full power up test. I would not just go right to full on power, and virtually guaranteed I'll pop the circuit breaker on both of them. The other option would be pull out the chassis and replace the electrolytics before I even bother try powering it up. But actually what I'm more concerned about is I don't want to stress out or burn out anything that's fairly irreplaceable, like the flyback. So if there's some stuff I should check, of course I could pull all the tubes and check those, and so on. I know there's like an efficiency coil, like maybe I should start out with that turned down all the way or something like that. In other words, I want to baby this set and try to slowly bring it back to life. That's going to be it for now. Please, those of you with experience with this types of sets, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.